If there's one platform that marketers know like the back of their hand, it's Facebook. And today we have an insider's view into what messaging means for Facebook and why it will be crucial for marketers to become experts on how to use it. To speak about that, we have David Cohen joining us from Facebook. David is a strategic partner manager at Facebook and has been with the platform for over 3 years. Without further delays, let's hear it from David now.
Hi everyone, very excited to be here today. My name is David Cohen and I work at Facebook. Specifically, I focus on messaging services that we provide. And today I'm here to talk about driving business outcomes through conversation. The world is continuing to move towards messaging first. We've already seen transitions from telephone and email into channels like messaging. In fact, in the first half of 2020, in our own apps and services, we saw a 50% increase in the number of people having person-to-person conversations. And I know that business-to-person conversations was also quite close. People have already been switching into this type of conversation, and we're only seeing that increase. When it comes to conversation between a person and a business, we know that conversation creates human connection. That's not new or different. But what we are seeing is that it does also increase the way a person feels about a brand and how connected they feel to that brand because they can have the one-to-one conversation through a messaging service, as opposed to using other things like phone and email support. But where does that happen? Well, what we found is that it actually happens across the entire journey that a person may have with your business. Whether they're just making a general inquiry about your hours, shipping times, flight ticket availability, or they've already completed a purchase and are having an issue getting to the hotel, or trying to figure out how to return a product that maybe didn't fit the way they expected. They're all doing these things through messaging apps and services, and they want to be able to reach you this way if you're not already offering such a service. From our perspective, what we're trying to do is make this type of communication as easy and seamless as possible. We're trying to provide the tools for businesses like yourselves to answer these questions quickly and get that end person to a resolution. But we also want to make sure that it feels seamless, it feels natural, and it can also be interactive and fun. In addition to Messenger, which we've been supporting for a number of years, we recently announced the addition of Instagram to this API. And I'd like to talk about that for a moment as well. With this API, businesses like yourselves can now use your agents and automation services through a service or app like Socialbakers. You're no longer tied to just having the account available on a particular device, a phone, a tablet, etc. But we're really working on making sure that your customers can get the answers they want through Instagram by providing you with the tools to do that. Teams can also, of course, now share the account and answer questions, prioritize accordingly, and all of the things that you're already used to on the messaging API. And we're already seeing, of course, people engaging with businesses through Instagram, whether that's looking at a story and making a comment, tagging you in a story directly because they bought a product that they really love, or of course, doing something more direct like leaving you a comment or sending a message because that's the way that they want to reach you because, that's where they talk to their friends and family as well. What I really want to focus on today is what I think is the most important thing to think about when you have a messaging experience, and that's your business objective. What is it that your users are coming in to do and ask or solve, and how can you help them do that as efficiently as possible? For instance, something as simple as generating a lead, trying to get a user or a person to think about a service that you offer, a product that you may have, and just asking a few questions to help them down the path so that you can then give them the best offering. Another option is to think about increasing transactions. How can you get the user to complete a purchase and actually buy something through a conversation? In this example, you can think about something like socks, and I want to buy socks as a gift for a friend or family member. This whole experience can be built in a messaging service and make it fun and easy for me to go ahead and do that. Last, and certainly not least, is the experience that I think most people are used to, both from the business side and the person side, which is customer care. I have an issue, I have a need, and I'd like to speak to somebody who can help me solve that problem. It doesn't matter if you're using a care person or automation to do that. What is really important is that you're actually getting them the answers that they need as quickly as possible. That said, once you've spent the time to build these experiences, how a user discovers them is the important part. And I think businesses tend not to really think about this first, but I really encourage you to do that. For instance, you can use an ad called Click to Messenger to send a user into a specific part of a conversation. So if it's a product, you don't have to sort of get them through that guided process. You can actually show them a shirt and then direct them into a conversation about that shirt. Something we're also seeing happen a lot more is social selling. So hosting a live and telling people, hey, if you comment below, we'll reach out to you by Messenger and we can actually then get you to that product. This is really exploding, and we believe that it's going to continue to unlock new ideas for businesses as well as drive more excitement for your customers. Finally, something simple like a QR code still works and in many regions is actually a preferred way to enter a conversation. Using a simple link called an m.me link, which you can see on this page, you can actually send a user right into a conversation and even again into a specific part of the conversation. So they're not always starting at the top. Of course, we have our own entry point, which is on the page itself, and that's the call to action. And we offer buttons that you can add to your website that again send the user into the conversation. Something that we launched a number of years ago but are continuing to explore is our Facebook chat plugin. The chat plugin enables you to add a Messenger instance right into your website. So that experience that you invested in, whether it's marketing, care, or everything together, can now actually rest right on your website and a user can have that conversation. The benefit, of course, is that because it's happening through Messenger, they're able to continue that conversation even when they leave your site. However, we do understand that for certain types of questions and instances, maybe a user doesn't want to log in that particular moment. And that's why we've introduced guest mode. Guest mode allows the user to interact with your experience without actually having to log in at all. They can hit guest mode, ask a question like, what are your hours? Where can I find your store? And get the answers quickly. That said, we do want to make sure that the benefit of having that login experience and that asynchronous conversation is still kept. So we are working on upgrade, which means I've started the conversation on the website. Maybe now it's not just when is your shop open, but I'd like to speak to an agent about a purchase I already actually made. What we then do is allow the user to log in so that they can leave the site, continue with their day, but you as the business, of course, can message them because they will receive that message on the app, in their phone, or on the website itself. Another entry point that we're introducing is the Shops entry point, which is part of our messaging API and Shops integration. What that means is if you have a shop on Facebook or on Instagram and you're selling products there, we're enabling users to actually message you directly about that product through this entry point. As I mentioned, entry points are really key, and so is giving context. So what happens in this case is if I'm looking at earrings, for example, for my wife, I can actually click a button and that image, that information, the pricing is all sent directly through this service, which means the agent doesn't have to ask any questions because they already know that I'm looking at this particular product or I have a specific question related to a specific product. The way that I look at building messaging experiences with the partners I work with is really to divide it into 3 parts. You want to plan what you're trying to do. And my biggest recommendation here is keep it simple. Don't try to do everything right off the bat. Are you just trying to do care? Is there a specific product or product line that you know people tend to have questions about that you just want to answer first? Then put that at the top of the experience. Because what that means is that most of your users are getting the answers they need fast and efficiently, which is, again, what we're all looking for when we have this type of communication. Once you've done that, you'll find that it's much easier to continue to expand into more use cases and more things to cover in the experience because you've already solved the core issue that most people have. Of course, after you've done the planning, you should work to create that experience itself, whether that's something as simple as making sure you have enough agents to answer the inquiries that are coming in if it's a pure care channel, or again, mixing in that automation to get people in the right direction before they start the agent conversation. And last but not least is connecting with your customers. Use those entry points. Think about where it makes sense to have an entry point. I don't know that I would recommend putting a certain entry point on every page. For example, if you only have a care support service specifically tailored to an area of your user base, don't put that on every page. But maybe you do want to add the chat plugin on that specific page because you know users are there for that and you're ready to answer their questions. I want to thank you all for inviting me into your homes and onto your computer screens today. And I really appreciated being able to talk about Messenger. So thank you for having me, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge thank you to our speakers. Now, before you jump to your favorite social platform to share this content using hashtag #SocialBakersEngage, I want to bring your attention to all the other tracks you can check out today, tomorrow, or on demand later. There are more sessions coming up on big data, content, diversity, and customer experiences. Check them out. And if you have a question to our teams, be sure to submit it on this page or hit us up on your favorite social channel. See you all later.